Aloha, howdy.
Howdy, partner.
Yeah. I feel like I needed to get accustomed to Santa Fe, so I'm just trying to get that Santa Fe culture. All I'm missing is like a turquoise bolo tie.
You've been in Albuquerque forever, and just so much change between Albuquerque and Santa Fe now.
Yeah, for
This
sure, dude.
this is Santa Fe Geo now.
Oh yeah. Like I'm gonna be more of an elitist. I'm gonna write more poetry.
You were just telling me about your white privilege you have now. Is that true?
Oh yeah, yeah. I work from home if I want to. If not, I can work in my cubicle on the upstairs of a bank now.
Congrats, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, for
It's
context,
been
Geo is the one who said he had white privilege now. So
Oh yes, I have white privilege. So you have to call me now John Ferdinand the third, even though I don't know my grandfather,
eh,
and there's no other John Ferdinands, but it's gonna be John Ferdinand the third, and when if I ever have a son, it'll be John Ferdinand the fourth.
well, I hope that day comes.
Thanks, man. But speaking of white privilege, about a white man that didn't really have much privilege, we're gonna be talking about pitcher Rube Waddell. You have no clue who he is, don't you?
I had no idea. You just told me you want to do an episode on him, and I was like, all right,
Okay.
let's freaking rock.
So in context, I first heard about this guy on the podcast The Dollop, and it's like an hour episode. It's so good. A friend of mine showed it to me, but I really wanted to go over it myself, and I have his Wikipedia page up. So for context and for sources, there are no copyright lawsuits or whatever, just in case. But
Yeah, 'cause
we're gonna talk
I
about
worked in school,
Ru-
right, with Wikipedia.
exactly.
Works.
We're a couple of corporate guys. We made it
Yeah,
far,
I'm super.
because of Wikipedia.
I'm the most corporate.
I know, dude. Cannabis corporate.
not,
All
not anymore.
right, so we're gonna talk about Rube Waddell. So just in context, his name isn't really Rube. His first name is actually George Edward Waddell, but Rube is like a nickname back in the day that's like for hick.
Mm-hmm. It's like Rube Goldberg.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just start off with his early life. Waddell was born on October 13th, 1876, just outside Bradford, Pennsylvania. He grew up in the countryside of Prospect, Pennsylvania. Biographer Alan Levy wrote that Waddell was a decidedly different sort of child. At the age of 3, he wandered over to a local fire station and stayed there for several days. He did not attend school very often, and he strengthened his arm as a child by throwing rocks at birds he encountered while working on his family's land. He also worked on mining and drilling sites as a youngster, which helped his conditioning. So you already see, like, he came from a very like humble beginning.
I got some notes so far. One,
Yeah,
similar to John Elway, he used to just throw shit at stuff. That's why he got a strong arm and accuracy. 2, your reading voice is just like a kindergarten teacher. So went straight into like, and Rube Goldberg was. I love it. Keep going.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I gotta start teaching classes now, so that's how I'm gonna be reading to my adult students. All right. All right. So Waddell's career wound through a number of teams. He was notably unpredictable. Early in his career, he once left in the middle of the game to go fishing.
Hmm, that sounds appropriate.
Yeah. He also had a long-standing fascination with fire trucks and ran off the field to chase them after them during games on multiple occasions.
Was this when he was a kid?
No, this is when he's an adult.
He went chasing after fire trucks as an adult.
Yes, as a professional baseball player.
Was this
In,
in a car or on foot?
on foot. He would run after them.
All right, because you're gonna get to this, right? Because he lived at a fire station as a kid, right?
No, for several days when
Okay.
his parents were looking for him.
What the hell? So he's just a lifelong fascination with fire trucks.
Yes, yes, and just to give you context, he this is like in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Back when firemen used to set up fires to fight each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's not even the crazy part. He would disappear for months at a time during the off season, and it was not known where he went until it was discovered that he was wrestling alligators in a circus.
Hmm.
This is legit a real person, dude.
Probably
Well,
that's
was a real
probably
person.
more money at that time than baseball.
Yeah, for sure. So, so you're gonna love this. He was easily distracted by opposing fans who held up puppies, which caused him to run over to play with them, and shiny objects, which seemed to put him in a trance.
Damn. So he was the grandfather of ADHD in this country.
Oh, definitely, bro.
Cool.
An alcoholic for much of his short life, the Southpaw reportedly spent his entire first sighting bonus on drinking binge, with Sporting News dubbing him a southpaw. His eccentric behavior led to constant battles with his managers and scuffles with bad-tempered teammates. Oh, I love this guy. By the way, he's my favorite baseball player of all time.
That's awesome. That's a good
Yeah.
era. The like Honus Wagner type era, whatever.
Yeah, dude. Because this is like during like the Cy Young era too,
Mm,
and he was like legit like he was a better pitcher than Cy Young.
mm.
Like, just so you can see, he had 2,316 strikeouts in his short career, and he played from 1905. No, wait, 1902. Give me a second. No, never mind. From 1897 all the way to 1910.
Mm.
All right. So Waddell's first professional contract was for $500 with Louisville, where he pitched 2 league games and a couple of exhibitions with the team at the end of the 1897 season. When the season ended, he was loaned to the Detroit Tigers of the Western League to gain professional experience. After defaulting on rent and being fined by the owner, George Vanderbeck, he left Detroit in late May to pitch in Canada before eventually returning to Homestead, Pennsylvania, to pitch semi-pro baseball there. However, I was like,
This is where
however,
Gio's teaching his class in adults. He's like, sorry,
sorry, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this.
I was like, gotta get some notes, brother.
I know, bro.
What? Hey, this is
I just
totally this is perfect for Rube, though. I mean, Rube would get distracted, obviously. So this
definitely,
is the
bro.
perfect podcast to honor.
I'm also drinking White Claws just in his honor too.
Dude, what type of White Claw is that? OG White Claw?
No, this is Surge. It's stronger. It has like
Yeah,
8%
yeah.
alcohol. Yeah, dude. Just so I can get drunk off of 3 and call it a day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, we're gonna go straight to like later his career. Waddell's drinking problem was exacerbated by a horrific marriage to May Wynn Skinner, his second of 3 wives, and a series of injuries in 1905 and 1906. Skinner threatened to prosecute Rube for bigamy because she did not recognize the divorce granted Rube in St. Louis. But the divorce granted by the circuit court on February 9th, 1910, which is my birthday, was legal, so the former Mrs. Waddell had no case. So he didn't know, like, he forgot to get divorced.
Naturally.
Yeah, naturally, just because of how great he was.
So it just didn't.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. So
So
let's see
bigamy
what we
is
can
have
find.
multiple wives.
Oh yeah, for sure. Pretty much. All right.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it exactly is.
Yeah. All right. So after his major league career was over, Waddell pitched parts of 3 more years in minor leagues, including 20-win season for the Minneapolis Millers. I didn't know you had a team.
I don't, bro. That's my great grandpa.
Yeah. In addition to pitching for the Millers, he pitched for the Minneapolis Rough Riders and the Virginia Ore Diggers of the Northern League in 1913. By that season, however, his health had declined to such an extent that he no longer resembled muscular, long-limbed hero of the prior decade while in spring training with the Millers. Waddell helped save the city of Hickman, Kentucky from a devastating flood in spring of 1912. Catching pneumonia, he lost much of the vitality that he had sustained him, and the second flood in Hickman and another ensuing case of pneumonia in 1913 took the rest. The same year, while in Minneapolis, he was diagnosed with tuberculosis and moved to live with his sister in San Antonio, Texas. His health was never recovered, and he was placed in a sanitarium nearby Elmdorf until he died at age 37 on April 1st, 1914. But just so we can get more in context about his career, dude, he would literally show up the time of the game, and instead of going to like the back where like through the locker room and getting dressed with the players and like practice before the game, so he will get there exactly the time of the game through the crowd, taking hot dogs away from fans, drinking their beers, and then go straight to the field and just change in the middle of the field.
It's perfect.
Dude, he's a fucking G.
He's a Nate Diaz of that time.
Definitely, dude. And he also saved 13 people from drowning.
That's the old school type of baseball player. Those guys.
Dude, we need to bring those type of players back.
God, who is that pitcher? I think he was at the Astros for a bit. Real crazy dude. God, it'll come to me. But he reminds me of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. By the way, how about those Astros, dude?
Yeah.
Them Astros.
Congrats to them, dude. I think
Yeah.
Zach Greinke is his name.
Oh yeah.
I think like personality traits. I think pitchers probably, if you were to like go across the board, they're like very similar to like goalies. And I think I read somewhere there was like Tourette syndrome is like common in professional athletes, and I feel like it's higher in pitchers too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know.
I don't know, man. Do you think that pitchers should bat again, like they used to?
So well, they do in one league, you know. So
yeah,
but it's super exciting watching Shohei Ohtani pitch, and you know he was leading his team this whole year, pitching, you know, hitting all that stuff. So I think it's exciting. I mean, AL, NL, do whatever the hell they want. That's baseball. Yeah, and I'm all for it. I think it's fun.
I feel like it just makes it more of a strategy too, you know?
That's all baseball is really. It's like, I mean, even they have no uniform stadium size. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Like you go to,
that's fucking
isn't that
nuts.
crazy? Like you go to like Fenway and then Colorado the next week. Way different experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. Also, this guy had a pre-game ritual before the game, and he would actually get really drunk at bars at the point where he would put on an apron on and start bartending for the bar before a game.
Beautiful.
Dude, this guy.
So I'm curious. So you like this? We're kind of like curating from a podcast on Wikipedia right now, right? I'll be real with you. I've never heard of the Dollop.
Oh, it's good, dude. There's good shit.
Historical.
It's two comedians talking about history.
Nice. Love it. There's just stuff. So talking about this guy, I'm curious because like that era too. There's so many myths. Like when you talk about like players from that era, like just athletes like George Gipp, you know, Joe Theismann, you know, we talk Cy Young. We could look at more, but it's like how much of that is like true versus like how much is this like a grandpa or something like that. You know, it's like that's what I'm curious about.
I feel like this is real, dude.
And I'm not doubting that. It's just like, where did that, you know what I mean? Like where someone's like, dude, like, could you imagine? They're like, do you see fucking Rube was bartending for the goddamn game?
Yeah, dude. Well, for reference, this came from a novel called Rube Waddell, The Zany Brilliant Life of a Strikeout Artist in 2013. So this is a pretty recent book compared to a lot of books.
But
I think that's where most people get their information from
It's
him.
pretty cool. I mean, it sounds like he's got this like Bill Murray-esque like mythos, like an everyman who just goes and does shit, but he's just he's still a celebrity.
Yeah, and I'm surprised there hasn't been a film about him.
I guarantee there will if there was like a recent book. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, they have
I
to. He's a Hall of
I
Famer.
also feel like it's really hard now to make historical figure movies. Like P.T. Barnum, right? Made like The
Yeah.
Greatest Showman, and it was a terrific movie. But like all these people are like, well, it wasn't really like that. It wasn't that. And you're like, a fucking course not, dude. It's a goddamn movie. He didn't look like Hugh Jackman. We know that. It's like Rube Waddell would be played by like Channing Tatum or something like that.
I don't know, because I feel like he could be played by that guy from Peaky Blinders, the
Killian
lead
Murphy.
guy, if you see a picture of Rube. Yeah.
And you're probably right, but it's like and I'm not saying like the look is accurate, but I feel like the way people would perceive it, like, why are we making him about here? We don't have a movie about this guy, or we don't have a movie about these people. And it would be
Yeah,
fucking
that's
great,
true.
and I agree. I think it'd be a great movie.
Yeah,
Just that
I
opening
agree.
scene, like a dude at a bar, and you just got compress everything, like opening scene bar. You just think he's a bartender, takes up his apron, drunk as shit, goes to a game, still in hot beers from people, goes out to the field, changes,
Yeah.
and fucking pitches a no-no. Like
Oh yeah,
set, and
dude.
then you just do it as a character piece the whole movie, where it's like, all right, what makes this guy tick, and that's what it's about.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like it could be a successful like dramedy film, but like you know how like Jack Black had like that movie about that guy that killed his wife who was like way older than
Yeah,
him. They owned like a
with
funeral business, I
McConaughey.
think. Was it with
Mm-hmm.
McConaughey? Oh yeah. Uh Something like that, because it was kind of like a comedy film even though it was a movie about a murder, but it was based on a true
I think
story.
it's got to be if I were to make that movie, it's got to be a character driven,
Yeah, for sure.
like Ray.
Yes, exactly, just
Mm-hmm.
like Ray.
So, what made you pick this to talk about?
Uh, well, to tell you the truth, we were talking about baseball on the last
Mm-hmm.
episode, and if we're talking about baseball, I want to talk about my favorite player of
Dope.
all time.
So, when did this guy become your favorite
Yeah,
player?
for
Just
sure.
from like reading and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like you have whenever people are like, who's your favorite?" Like you have a person you're growing up who you like, and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And
for
then you
sure.
have like people now, and like continually it changes. It's like, oh, I fucking really like this guy. Right now, I like the baseball player I love is Charlie Blackmon. Absolutely,
Really?
dude. Like the dude's a fisherman. He's just a baller. Great freaking beard, dude.
No,
Just
that's
chill.
true. I dig that. I dig that. Yeah, I mean, before Rube, it was actually who was my favorite? Mm, it was probably Mark McGuire, just because I grew up
That's
watching
fair.
him.
I think I liked like Willie Mays and stuff like that.
Yeah, I liked like so my mom was a huge Yankees fan, so I grew up learning about the history of it. So like I would read about Yogi
Yeah.
Berra and Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and
And
what's another one? Yeah, just
Joe
all the Yankees that were
DiMaggio, Jack
stars.
DiMaggio, Eric DiMaggio, Paul DiMaggio,
Jorge Posada, just because he's Puerto
Jorge
Rican.
Posada. Who is the best Puerto Rican player of all time?
Of all time? Yeah, I was gonna say Roberto Clemente, but yeah, because like
just curious.
I don't know. Yeah, because who is Giancarlo Stanton Puerto Rican right now?
Good question.
Like in the gonna Google. Well, I'll Google it whenever I can. But
At what point does
Carl,
Jake Paul become Puerto Rican?
he's Puerto Rican in my eyes, dude. Yeah, and Logan Paul, dude. He's a way better wrestler than 95% of pro
Isn't that
wrestlers right
crazy?
now.
He's always been a
Yeah,
freak
dude. Did you?
athlete. Can we talk about Logan Paul? I know this is a Rube Waddell podcast, but can
Yeah,
I
yeah,
talk
for
about
sure.
Logan Paul for a bit? Like
Yeah.
at least in my eyes, this is how like I first came to see Logan Paul. was just this tall, good-looking white guy doing the splits in public. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And just, yeah,
I remember that. And
yeah.
Vine,
Then
right?
all he starts doing other shit. I thought at the time he was a wrestler at the University of Michigan. And just because
Really?
he looked like, I was like, this guy looked like a wrestler I had saw, but like didn't wrestle at all. But I was like, dude, if you could do the splits like that, like you could do a
That's
lot of
true.
shit with that flexibility, dude.
Dude, and you know what's crazy? Yeah, because that kind of flexibility reminds me of, like, ironically,
Mm,
Ben Askren. Just how he was very flexible with his hips, which probably why he had a hip replacement surgery like in his 30s. But like that funky style, I feel like you can't pull it off without
that'll be
good
flexible.
hips and
So, and
flexibility.
back
Yeah.
to Rube, man. I just was like, for a
Yeah.
brief
Yeah,
second, I
sorry.
was like, hey, I need to say this about that guy because he's a freaking athlete. But like, Rube,
Yeah.
really want to do more hit. I want to look up more on him. I think I'm gonna be intrigued. So
Yeah.
this podcast has been a great, like, hey, you guys got to check this guy out. And hey, we don't know anybody on the dollop. I have no idea who they are, but give them a listen. Check out that full episode. That sounds like a good piece to listen to. Um,
Oh yeah,
with
for sure.
with that old style baseball, dude. I feel like it was so much easier to just do fucking drunk, dude. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like it's also because it didn't
Yeah,
pay much, people didn't really work
yeah,
hard to get there. You know, like he was literally getting paid more to wrestle gators than he was
yeah.
playing baseball.
And it's always been a skill game. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and even
for
those like
sure.
old school gloves. Have you ever used one?
Oh
Like,
no, I never used one,
like
but I've
my
seen them.
hand felt like it was just getting punched every time. It hurt so bad.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. Sometimes he would
Yeah.
get the ball right, and he would just like fan it out because he was afraid that the ball will get on fire, so the catcher won't get caught
Mm.
on fire. Yeah,
What happened
yeah.
after baseball with this guy? What was his later life like? Does anybody know?
So he pursued
Mm.
acting and in theater, and he didn't have to remember lines. He would just improvise on his lines because, of course, he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't remember. But he would get on big shows and all that, so a lot of actors were frustrated with him
Well, I
working with him.
bet if you're like classically trained and then you have somebody who's like, fuck it.
So, how art there, Romeo? Because
Did
he's
they
country
have?
as fuck.
Well, did they have like any of the plays he did and stuff? Or
No, I tried looking for them while
mm.
researching for this episode, and I couldn't
That
find a
sounds
thing.
completely like working with Marlon Brando on The Godfather.
Yeah, for sure. uh, Imagine like having so much shiny objects and jewelry in the theater too. Like he's gonna
Where?
be like
So
stuck
what
in a
else
trance.
happened after? So he did acting, right? Did he die penniless? Was he
Yeah.
like what? Did he have good money? Did he have kids? What happened?
Let me see, just so we can look at I don't see anything about his final years about
Okay.
having kids. I pretty much just read his final years. Uh, and all I know is that he had three spouses, and I have no clue if there are any
So
kids or anything. Like there's
what
nothing
is what
listed.
is the book called?
So it is called Rube Waddell, The Zany Brilliant Life of a
Okay.
Strikeout Artist.
So gotta end this podcast being like, hey guys, we have to read this, and I implore you guys to read this. This guy sounds like an interesting character for sure.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna order this book as soon as I'm done with the other two books, and I'm gonna
That's
read
awesome.
heavy on that because I'm really
That's
interested in
awesome.
that book.
Well, hey man, closing thoughts.
Rube Waddell's the GOAT, and then Nolan Ryan's right after.
Bet. All right. Well, you guys heard it first. Rube Waddell, or second. Shout out to the doll. Hey guys, appreciate you guys following us on the socials at Best Worth Cantina, and at Gary Miller BWC Main Event Poppy. Thank you guys. We Best Worst Cantina on Instagram. We just hit over 6.5 million views on a video. We've had a lot of engagement, guys. Give us a follow. Check us out on there. We're trying to stay active. It's kind of crazy. I actually just wanted to thank you guys for that. It's pretty cool.